Hi, Roy Ripper here, and I want to tell you what your biggest challenge is facing you in your recruitment business right now today. It's obscurity. And the reason why I say that is that in this world that's so noisy, it's like, your competitors are out there emailing clients, putting stuff out there, you're trying to do the same, the clients are trying to do the same. There's a lot of noise that goes through. And in order to be really, really at the top of your game, it's like you've got to not be obscure. You've got to feature in as many places that your potential clients or candidates can see you. But meanwhile, loads of other people are doing this too. And I think, in order for us to go forward as an industry, what we've got to do is reposition ourselves, take us away from being seen as a commodity, because that's how clients and candidates see a lot of recruitment businesses and a lot of recruitment services. It's a commodity. It's like oil as a commodity or coffee as a commodity. And when it's a commodity like that, it's very difficult for anybody to charge a premium price. Because people are kind of comparing apples to apples, and they're saying, okay, well, recruitment services from one company versus recruitment services on another company, who's the cheapest? Now, in order for you to break away from that, you've got to be seen definitely not as a commodity. And the one way that I know you can do that is to position yourself as a recruitment expert or a recruitment authority on the niche that you work in or that you specialize in. But I hear you, right? That's easier said than done. How do you do that? Well, before we go into the how, I want to talk about what happens when you are seen as an authority, as a recruitment expert authority in your niche. Well, the first thing is you're not a commodity. You're an authority, meaning that people, clients and candidates will see you as different to the rest of the market. They'll see you as adding value because of your knowledge, your specific and unique knowledge of your particular niche. So what happens then is that you get paid higher fees. Clients remain a bit more loyal to you if they see you as the premium authority, the number one within your niche. You will win more retained business if that's what you're interested in. Or if you're not interested in retained, maybe exclusive business. So authorities or experts tend to occupy this higher strata, this higher level, and being seen differently by the people that we want to have see us. So, loads of other benefits as well. I think when clients and candidates see you as an authority, they will listen to you, they will follow you, they will take your advice, they'll seek you out. It's not a question of cold calling and trying to drum up business. When you're seen as an authority, then people come to you. And more importantly, the right people come to you. So let's go to the how-to, all right? And I want to try and share something with you. I found what I'm about to describe to you. I found it out, stumbled on it, in fact, in the summer of 2014. And I started doing it in my business. I'll kind of, you might know my story. Training, and I've put training products out there. But at some point, I wrote and published a book. So, and that was good, right? So that gave me some exposure. That positioned me. And that was the traditional way of positioning as an expert, was to write a book. But then what I did was I thought, I'm going to launch a podcast. So I launched a podcast, Recruiters Live Lounge, that you guys, may or may not be familiar with. And that was good. But I found that I was doing all of these different individual pieces, and yes, I was gaining traction, but it actually didn't give me the ROI that I was looking for in terms of time in creating these things, expense in creating these things. And back then I didn't have a team of people that were helping me to do this, so I was having to do it all on my own, and it was bitty. We're doing stuff that gets you a little bit of success, but then changing it and doing it with doing something else. So this thing that I stumbled on was called, in the digital marketing world, it was called omnipresence marketing. And that phrase actually has been around for a long time. It was based on the teachings of people like Frank Kern, people like Brendan Bouchard, people like Scott Alford, people like Gary Vee. And these people were talking about, these are digital marketing gurus in the info marketing world. They were talking about taking a piece of content, but making that piece of content, repurposing it, and putting it across many different platforms. And I started to look at this back in 2014, and I was like, wow, man, this is really good. Let me try that. And I tried doing it, and I got some phenomenal results. But as always, and I think you'll probably understand this in your shoes, as always, something else becomes a priority, and so I moved away from it. But I've always kind of kept this idea about omnipresence marketing. Now, I personally, that phrase omnipresence marketing has been around for a long time, and yes, it's huge in the digital marketing world. I have, in a sense, designed something that's more for recruitment businesses rather than info marketing businesses. And I've called my, methodology, authority amplification. Okay, so it's a strategy, it's authority amplification. And what I want to do is kind of just tell you a bit more about that and how that would work. So what is authority amplification? It's really two things. It's first of all about creating one piece of content that can be broken down into different formats or different formats of micro content, and I'll explain that in a second. The second thing about authority amplification is making sure that content is shareable. Okay, because the point is creating something that doesn't get shared. You don't get that viral kind of feel to it that's almost like the holy grail for all of us. We want to produce pieces of content that everybody loves and everybody shares, because the more people that share it, the more you'll be seen as an authority within your niche. The more people will know, like, and trust you, the more it's shared. So remember, it's taking one piece of content, breaking it down, and then number two, making sure that content is shareable. So look, what I'd like to do is maybe tell you how I do it, how I've applied it to my business, and maybe get you thinking about, well, what could you do, all right? Now, as I'm telling you this, I don't want you to say, oh, well, yeah, that's okay for you, Roy Ripper, you do all of that stuff anyway. I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible, because I love simple. I do not like hard work for myself. So I'm going to introduce you to my Lazy Boys guide to producing content that I can share using authority amplification. So look, typically what I'd do is I'd go and shoot video. It's like I enjoy video. I've been doing video since, 2007. I've produced a lot of video over the years. So video is something I'm comfortable with, but actually I also enjoy writing. So you could go about this two different ways, but let's go with my example. So I typically will shoot a video. I then will upload that video to YouTube. So it exists on YouTube. And then what I'll do is I will take that video and I will get it transcribed. Okay. So I don't want to sit there kind of going, okay, well, what did I say and everything else? I send it off to a service, a very cheap service. It comes back sometimes within hours and it's transcribed for me. I take that transcription and I turn it into a blog post, all right? So the video would be something like this. It's transcribed. We then take that transcription, produce a blog post on our website or on my website. I then also will take that video and I'll upload it to Facebook. Now, please don't sit there thinking, well, my audience isn't on Facebook. Everybody's on Facebook. And what we're trying to do here is get exposure across as many different platforms where your clients and candidates or your audience are going to hang out. So I'll take that video, upload it to Facebook. I'll also in doing that, I'll strip out the audio from that video, okay? And that audio then could become a podcast. Yeah. So, and again, it's very, very easy these days, a lot easier than it was when I did Recruiters Live Lounge, to get a podcast up with literally within minutes. Okay, within minutes. It's a lot easier. It used to take us several days and weeks to get us to produce to the level that we did. But what else can you do? So we've got all these different things. Well, you know, I look at the video or I look at the transcription and I'll say, do you know what? Can I find 2 or 3 interesting things that I said during that video that we can turn into quote cards? Now, quote cards, you've seen them. It'd be like, you know, a nice image or fancy picture, stock image, but the words of the quote are written out and then the quote is attributed to somebody, in this case me. So I'll try and get 2 or 3 things, quotes out of it. Now, again, we don't send these off to a fancy designer. We use a free software platform that can produce these things, right? You don't have to be. I'm not a fancy designer. I have very little design experience or technical ability, but I can produce these quote cards. And what we'll do is we'll take those quote cards and we'll post them up on Twitter. I'm starting to experiment more with Instagram and trying to get them there, but I'll also put them on Facebook. Now, what we haven't mentioned here is LinkedIn, okay? Now, as a recruiter or recruitment business owner, you'll want to do this thing of getting content and then breaking it down into this micro content. So on top of all of those things that I've just mentioned for me, other stuff I'll do, I'll replicate the blog post that's on my website. I'll replicate that as a pulse post on LinkedIn. I'll also do a status update that talks about this blog post or this video, and I'll link it in the status update. I'll link it to the LinkedIn Pulse post and my own website post. So where else can I do with it in LinkedIn? I can put it in groups. So I can, and I know that we can belong to, I think it's up to about 50 groups. I don't know, the algorithms change every time I look at it. But if you can post into a group, and you don't want to be spammy or anything else, it's just like, look, I've written this blog post. I think it might be interesting to the people in this group. Please click here to have a read of it. If you post a LinkedIn Pulse link, it's native to LinkedIn. LinkedIn like that, okay? But mix it up, try different things. If you're going to post into LinkedIn groups, we'll find some Facebook groups, again, where your audience hang out, and post the same there. Now look, that's just a few ideas. There's so many different things that you can do. With authority amplification, what I've done is I've mapped out a step-by-step process, a 10-step process that you can follow. And details of that, if you want that, information or PDF or whatever, there'll be a link below this video for you to click and get that. But for now, what I want you to do is just think about, taking the first step. It's like when you first hear about this, it's like, oh my God, video. And if that's what you're thinking right now, please don't worry, stop, because it doesn't have to be a video. You could kick off with a written blog post. I've done it myself that way. I write the blog post. Then what I'll do is I'll be able to take the different things that I want. I can create a video of the blog post, even if it's just an introduction to it. I can take that written blog post and I can do all of the other things that I described earlier. So please don't worry if video is not your thing. However, I would say to you, get video, all right? Video rocks right now. Everybody loves video. YouTube as a search platform is the number 2 search engine in the world. So video really, really works very well. And if you're not used to it, I'd say to you, get used to it. Start to practice. And here's my challenge for you, all right? I want you to take this first step. I'd love for you to take your smartphone. This video, by the way, is just shot on my smartphone, my iPhone. So take your iPhone and over the next week, make a date where you are just gonna, just shoot a video, all right? I'm gonna give you a little tip. Start off with the 5 questions that your clients or candidates or both ask you, the most frequently asked questions. And what I want you to do is to just shoot a video that answers that question. So for example, if your specialization is accountancy and your clients in accountancy say, well, you know, I don't know the best universities or colleges or whatever where, you know, accountants, I can see. Shoot a video that kind of just talks about that. And I'm only talking 5 minutes video, not anything as long as this. 5 minutes where you answer the question. But on top of the 5 questions that your audience ask, I also want you to think about 5 questions they should be asking you. 5 questions you believe your clients and candidates should be asking you. And again, I want you to answer those on video. Now, don't worry at this stage. It's like you're going to hate the first ones that you do, all right? Just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Now, if you're really, really scared of video, yeah, by all means, you can write those as individual blog posts. Just open up Google Docs or Word and just write down those answers to 5 most frequently asked questions and 5 questions that they should be asking that you can answer. Just take that first step. Now, in terms of taking this further, if you want to go faster, if you want to understand this methodology, authority amplification, click the links below. There's details about a program that I'm running that you're going to be interested in. But for now, I don't want to overwhelm you. Just stick with the produce one piece of content. Let's divvy it up. Let's get it out to as many platforms as you can. Be seen as the authority by your audience everywhere. You want to kind of create that feeling of you everywhere to the people that you want to have see you. So for now, that's it. I'm going to sign off. Great to speak with you. Remember, click below this video for links to other information that you might find useful. Bye for now.